So here with Ms. Swat, and we're going to be conducting a content planning meeting. All right, so this is a little bit different, Ms. Swat, than just like a regular lesson planning meeting. Okay, we're going to be talking about your content, what you're going to be teaching in your next lesson, and we're going to try to dig into that deeply so that you have like a really good understanding of what you're teaching and then what you want the students to get out of it.
Okay.
All right?
Yep.
So what is your next lesson?
We are going to be working on world religions.
Okay, so I used to teach social studies too, so I never really liked that unit all that much, but okay.
I love this unit.
All right, well that's great. So then hopefully you can communicate some of that to your students. What's the big, refresh me on what's the really big idea here? What are the students, what is the big idea that you want the students to have at the end of the unit?
Our big idea that we're going for is what do all of the three religions, being Hinduism, Buddhism, and Christianity, those three,
Okay,
possibly Judaism,
okay,
what they all have in common, and then what those beliefs actually do to affect the world today.
all right, well that's interesting. So we're gonna break that down a little bit. So you're gonna talk about like Hinduism and Buddhism, okay? What do you want the students to know, for say about Hinduism?
Really, with Hinduism, we are going to talk about a couple different things.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about, like where it started, when it started,
All right.
who started it, like the books that they follow,
Okay.
and kind of like what they believe,
Mm-hmm.
and then where it's practiced today and how many people today still practice.
Okay.
And I'm going to do that with each of the individual religions.
All right. All right. And I'm looking at this, and this looks like a comparison and contrast. Is that what we're hoping that the students get as a big idea, the comparisons and
Yeah.
and contrasts at the
Yeah.
end? All right. How deeply do you want to take this for the students?
This one I actually like to go in depth with.
Okay.
I have noticed though that there's like a couple things that we do need to make sure that we cover before we get into this.
All right.
Especially, there's a couple questions regarding like reincarnation and caste system, which we covered about in the last unit.
Sure.
I just want to make sure that we do like a refresher, like maybe even like morning assignment kind of thing, as far as like what is reincarnation, what is caste system. That way they can build upon those previous
Knowledge. Sure.
yeah. And so with that, I want to go in depth with that, like what do they believe, but more so, how are they all similar, and then how we can kind of go into more like toleration,
Okay.
and maybe even segue into partial discrimination topics.
All right. All right. Okay. Well, religion lies at least as a claimed cause for a lot of like conflict in the world. So I think this is important for the students to know. How are you going to ensure that that they understand all of the concepts that are supposed to be covered?
So my thought process as far as, like mastery, is to look at, as far as the compare and contrast, we'll sit there and maybe even pair up and do Venn diagrams.
Okay.
And as a group work to see if they have mastered that. And then I ideally would like to turn that into an essay, and each student would write a 5-paragraph essay doing like similarities and differences as far as the religions, and then ending that with their concluding paragraph being along the lines of like how this affects the world today.
Okay. Perfect, because it's so important that we help our students to make those connections. Okay. All right. So now I see that you're including like Judaism and Christianity in this lesson, but there's another religion of Abraham that like Islam's not really being covered. Is that covered? Any reasons that you left it out, or?
No reasons that I left it out. It tends to be a unit pretty much all on its own.
I see.
And so, I personally kind of touch upon it a little bit.
Sure.
When we're talking about it, because you're right, I don't want to leave that out. But do you think it's something I should add?
I don't know. Do you think it's something that you should add?
it's not that I don't think it's important, that tends to be the hardest one for me
Okay.
to talk about. Believe it or not, it's harder than Christianity.
Sure.
With all of the discrimination today as far as the Islamic faith,
Sure.
it tends to be more of a, I don't know, like an issue in class.
All right.
So that's kind of why I think they steer away from that one.
Okay.
But like I said, we do talk about it, we just don't talk about it in comparison with the other religions.
Okay. All right. Well, that's great. It seems like you have a really good handle on this content. You have some deep understanding. It seems like you have a really great idea of what you want the students to know at the end. And do you have any feedback for this content planning session? Rather than like talk about how to teach this, we talked a lot about what you're trying to teach.
Right, no, and I really like that you added some things that you know, thought I could add in, or we talked about, like, maybe we try this, or add this, and pointing out the fact that Islam wasn't there, and the why behind the what on that, like, it was really helpful, and in my mind, it's got me thinking, you know, maybe I can add it in somewhere, but no, I thought it was really beneficial.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time today, and thank you for helping me with my video for my class.
Awesome, thank you,
All
Mr.
right.
Besh.
All right. Thank